In this part, we're going to look a bit at the core etiquette moments of Aikido, since Aikido comes from Japan, and Japanese is quite a structured, traditional country with many ethical rules and subtleties. As Westerners, we try to take it over, and it's important to know some of them to maintain that respect, to maintain that humility in our practice, humbleness. But I don't think we will ever take over all of those rules, and some dojos try to do it more, some dojos do it less. In our dojo, it's quite free. Only the core main principles are still there. Some dojos are very specific about that. So my tip before we continue is that when you visit another dojo or when you come to train in the beginning, just be conscious about what's happening. Don't take everything for granted. Don't think that the way you know is going to work 100% in another place. Take the inspiration from your personal experience, try to apply it, but also be conscious about what others do, what senior people do, if anybody talks during the class, for example, or not, or how the people bow, where they bow. And just do your best to follow them and take them as an inspiration. If you're not sure, in most of the dojos, you can simply ask. And if you're going to be humble, if you're going to be conscious, I'm pretty sure that if you do some mistakes, you'll be forgiven, so don't worry about that. But just remember that not all dojos work in the same way, but the key main ethical principles should be maintained. So one of those key principles, first of all, is when you enter the dojo. In many dojos, it's traditional to bow in, and actually after you leave the dojo, before you leave the dojo, to bow out. Especially what I notice in my practice, what happens is, for example, our dojo is on the second floor, so if you just enter through the door and you don't see the dojo, there's nothing really to bow. But as soon as you go up and then you see the showman, then you bow towards the showman. As you go out, before you part, away from seeing the showman, you bow to the showman again. So entering the dojo, bowing is a good sign of etiquette. So there's a philosophical spiritual side to that as well. When you enter the dojo, this is a special place, that you need to be focused, you need to be concentrated, that it's not a casual place, that you're in a place where you're going to devote yourself to development. So if you stop, bow, that can give you that understanding and remind you that now it's the time for improvement. Now it's this. Also, when you bow, it's something I personally try to be conscious about. Don't do a pigeon bow. Don't just quickly bow and that's it. Maybe some dojos will do that, and if everybody does that and you're going to be slowly, deeply bowing, that might be not really accepted too. So be conscious about that. But I think it's a good practice to stop and really bow, to really be conscious who you're bowing to, why you're bowing to make it for a reason, not just to pretend you're doing it. So now, as you continue on, as you step on the mat, obviously you leave your slippers off the mat, but then again, different dojos will have different rules. I think it's good practice to do at least a standing bow in any dojo as you enter the mat, as you step on the mat. Again, even when you enter the dojo, that's a transition to something more special, but when you enter on the mat is the place of training. It's a martial art, so first of all, you show respect to the mat, and then that bow is also a sign of dedication, that now you're going to work on yourself, now you're going to be in a space where you need to be focused. So that bow is a good way of transition, is a good way to show respect. Also, in some dojos, and you can probably do it in any dojo, but some dojos will demand that when you go on the mat, you actually go on your knees and make a deep, full bow, and same when you leave the mat. So be conscious about those two differences too. For example, in our dojo, we do a standing bow, so it's not necessary. Some dojos will have it. Also, what I noticed while practicing Aikido, that some dojos have a very high respect for their senseis. So before the class or when you see that the sensei is coming, everybody, without anyone saying that, everybody already sits in a line so that when sensei walks in, everybody is already ready. We don't personally do that, but if you come to a new dojo or come to a seminar and see suddenly everybody's sitting down in line, probably it's a good idea to jump in as well. For very new beginners, I might tell you that when sitting in the line, there's a hierarchy. So Japanese culture was influenced by a few different traditions, and one of them is Confucianism. And the Confucianism is a lot about hierarchy, a lot about everyone having their own place, everyone having respect, senpai, kohai, beginner, less experienced student, less ranking student, senpai, the higher ranking student. So the senpais, the more experienced people, are normally sitting on the right side of the line. The beginners are sitting on the left, so you can be conscious about that too. If you're watching this video before starting Aikido and you just want to know what to do, what not to do, so that's one of the points when everybody's sitting in line and you see black belts and people with hakamas on the right side. It's not a good idea for beginners to go there. If it's a nice dojo, if it's a good dojo, people will tell you, just go there politely, but nevertheless, be conscious about who's sitting where, and normally beginners are going to be on the left. We spoke about sitting on the knees, not presenting your feet, and the other part, so you can remember that as well. General guidelines for the training. Normally, a lot of dojos that I've been to actually quite conscious about not speaking on the mat. Some dojos will even say it's forbidden to speak on the mat besides training-related things, which makes sense, and to a certain part I agree. I think personally I don't stress it so hard to say that you just can't talk whatsoever, but talking on the mat should be limited. You should be focused on the training. Even in my own, in the way I guide the training, I don't encourage people to discuss so much about technique, to talk and to teach each other. I think it's good to learn from experience, and if a person is really lost, then you can guide him, you can explain to him. But when two people are training together, I personally don't encourage trying to teach the other person everything you know, because the person might be overwhelmed and you might be teaching it in the wrong way. So be humble, be conscious about that too. So talking on the mat, that's one point. When the sensei claps and gives or says yame, stop, the signal for sitting down, it's a good sign to go there quickly, because based on how I perceive the training, Aikido, the traditional Japanese martial arts is considered that this time is very precious, and the sensei is giving you his teachings. So when he claps, that means if you just walk away slowly, talking with someone, you show disrespect to the sensei, and also he has to wait for you. So basically you're wasting everyone's time. So not to waste your time, not to waste sensei's time, not to disrespect, not to waste everyone's time. When the clap is there, you can either gently run or quickly move and sit down and be conscious and be ready. When the sensei is explaining, it's good to refrain from talking to someone else, from discussing, because it actually disturbs the sensei from teaching. You're not also going to hear what he's saying. The other person is not going to hear. So it just makes sense not to talk while the sensei is teaching. And also in terms of drinking water, the dojo I trained most years in presented it in a really good way, that drinking water is your personal practice. So some dojos will actually, as far as I heard, some dojos will forbid you from drinking water during the training. Be conscious about that too. But I think a healthy dojo doesn't do that. And but if you want to drink, don't do it. There might be this tendency, there's desire to do it when the sensei is explaining something. Basically, you drink, you watch him, and then you don't waste your training time. But at the same time, that's again disrespect for the sensei. You're not gonna fully see what the sensei is sharing while you're drinking, while you're walking to get your drink. It's gonna create a hassle, especially if everyone does it at the same time. So it's best when sensei explains, sit down there, watch it, and when he finishes, if you're allowed to drink, then simply go drink then during your training time. It's not gonna be a lot of time that you miss. So these are some core moments. There's many others, but you can see the similar guideline through it. So if you're conscious and if you're going through that way, you should be fine. There's also some rules and traditions about bowing during the class, whether saying onegaishimasu or saying os, or saying domo, domodato, etc., etc. Also some etiquette with the weapons, which we're going to look at soon enough. But I hope you got the feeling of the spirit of this process, and that might help you go, if you're a beginner, that might help you go through the initial kind of joining in the dojo, or if you travel somewhere else, that you're more conscious about that. Again, if you have questions, you can always ask, you can always write me, but I think this, what we talked, should be a good amount to begin with.